Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Vault. Jersey Joe Archino back here. And I think after this weekend, you can really start to get behind the Cleveland Cavaliers again. This, of course, coming off of their win on Saturday against the San Antonio Spurs, 117-103. But, I said it was going to take time. Tyronn Lue, it was going to take a couple of games until we really started to see how this team would respond. Now, the biggest point is they have responded. Coming off, his first game to the Chicago Bulls was a disaster. They did not show up. Their tempo was terrible. Their defense was terrible. That was not what you wanted to see after they made the change of head coach. But since that time, you have seen the points up there tremendously. And those points have all come from tempo. And that's my biggest point is there's no excuses for them to trend backwards because they know what tempo it takes to win. It's not easy to sustain that tempo, but if you want to be a championship team, you have to completely sustain that game in, game out. We'll look at the games that we've had that basically on their 4-game winning streak, which has happened since the loss to Chicago. They've put up 114 against the Timberwolves, 115 against the Suns, 114 against the Pistons, and then 117 against the Spurs. They scored 37 points in the first quarter against the Spurs, which is the most that they've given up in a quarter this season. So that is the best defense in the NBA, and they put up 37 points in the first quarter. Again, that's all tempo. After they lost their first game to the Chicago Bulls, Tyronn Lue said, our conditioning's got to be better. We've got to push the tempo more. And if you watch the finals last year against the Golden State Warriors, the essential difference between those two teams, except for the depth of the Warriors, is tempo. Golden State was just too fast for them. They get their shots off way too quickly. They get down the court much faster. Tempo is the only thing the Cavs can do to kind of try to stem the tide. Now, I think they will be back in the NBA Finals. I just don't think the competition in the East is comparable to the Cleveland Cavaliers. But they can't beat the Warriors, or they can't really challenge them unless they continue to increase their tempo. And now, it's not easy to really push that and continue. It takes a grind and a toll on you. But that's what you've got to do because the Warriors have fresh legs. They're young. Travel doesn't affect them because of their depth and their youth. So if you want to challenge them legitimately, you've got to continue to improve the conditioning, and you have to keep the tempo up. That is the only way you're going to beat the Warriors. Now, I still don't think that they will. I think the Cavs will continue to go in a positive direction. And again, if they do trend backwards at any time, that's a player problem. That's a complete player problem because once you show the ability to win, you have things figured out, that's an excuse on you. I said it last year when they made the moves for Timothy Mozgov, J.R. Smith, and then Shumpert, when they started playing and they got in their groove. I said, you can't go backwards because you've shown the world how good you can be. When you show the world how good you can be and then you trend backwards, that's a you problem. It doesn't matter if it's sports or if it's in life. That's a you problem. You've got to continue to move ahead. You've got to continue to grind it out and do things the right way. Now, consistency is where they're going to make their mark now. I still think you look at everything the way it's panned out. Again, tempo is the word for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they've got to push it. The biggest other hopeful sign, I think, for the Cavs that you want to see is Kevin Love looks like he's really started to fit in better now. I thought he started the season off on a good foot. He really seemed to be getting more involved in the offense. That was obviously David Blatt's doing, trying to incorporate him more, getting plays designed where he has the ball in his hands more. But I think even in that, it was a little bit unnatural at times because you're really forcing the ball into his hands instead of it being natural. Things have to move naturally in this offense. You just have to let the players react to the situation. These are very smart basketball players. LeBron is the smartest player in the game. Love's a very sharp guy. Kyrie is so intelligent with his ability on both ends of the floor. These are smart players. You have to trust them with the ball in their hands, and that's why I never thought you could force him into situations. Have to let it be natural, and he has looked very natural fitting in so far since Tyronn Lue has taken over. 21 against the Spurs, 29 against the Pistons, and 21 against Phoenix. That 3-game span right there, I think, has been very encouraging for his confidence. And really, at its core, we all know it. I mean, it's the same thing with the Miami Heat. These games all come down to Does LeBron play well, and do Love and Kyrie give him enough on top of that? That's what it comes down to. Yes, you need some timely shooting from your guys like J.R. Smith, Shumpert. You need Tristan Thompson to pull down the timely rebounds. But at its core, it always comes down to how does LeBron play, and can Kyrie and Kevin Love give him the contributions that he needs? That is it. It's not the most complicated formula in the world. That's what it comes down to. It comes down to that, the tempo, getting Kevin Love to be more natural in the offense. Now, we're very close to the All-Star game, and I think LeBron knows it. He said at the beginning of the season, we just need to come out and start off an incredible way. That's what he did his second season with the Heat, and that carried them to a championship. Now, I still don't think that they'll win it this year. I think the Warriors are too historically good. All the numbers in the eye test say that, but that doesn't say they can't challenge for them. They challenged for the Warriors last year without Kyrie Irving and without Kevin Love. That's not saying they can't. I think if they continue to push the tempo, and if they come out of the All-Star break and they just really never look back from that, they've got a better chance than I think a lot of us are thinking right now. But it all starts with that. It all starts with continuing to build. Now, we're 5 games really in to the Tyronn Lue situation, to him taking over. His first loss, they're on a 4-game winning streak. And I said you give it till about 10 games where you really see this is who the Cavs are now. I think 5 more games you give it, you see how they continue to improve, you see the tempo, and that's one thing I kind of like with the All-Star game, All-Star break coming up too, is you can establish the tempo now. You've got a little bit of a break, and then you come back and you pick up the tempo right from where you left off. Tempo is where they make their mark. I've said it 50,000 times during this segment. I think you get the point. So until next time, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. Follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino, on Instagram Jersey_Joe_Archino, and I'll be back very soon.